Iraq banned the dollar on January 1st. So let's briefly take a look at what the dinar gurus said would happen, and then I'll teach you 3 things about currencies that would have told you this was a lie from the start. Over the past month, I've gotten a flurry of comments saying January 1st was going to be the date of the magical Iraqi dinar revaluation.
Oh yeah, you're telling me, Kyle. Trust me, I heard this too. I told people, look, it's going to help strengthen the dinar. There's no doubt about it. You're not going to see a change in the exchange rate. Nothing dramatic, in my opinion. I do think, though, you might see a slight change in the exchange rate, but I said it's going to go up in increments. But nothing like these people are out there predicting. It's crazy to hear what they have to say. And the funny thing is, when you see their comments on here, their justifications for why the exchange rate is going to be reinstated is really out in left field. And I'm constantly correcting what these people say out there in the dinar arena and trying to bring people down to a more grounded perspective.
No longer be in use starting January 1st, so an automatic increase of the dinar will happen. Before January 1st is my strong opinion. They have to do something by then because the dollar won't be accepted in Iraq after January 1st. As of January 2024, dollars won't be used, so dinar holders should finally begin to see some profits. And why did everyone think that? Because that's the false hope all the gurus were spreading.
You think January 1st today, highly possible by the 1st.
The Central Bank of Iraq, without any fear, without pulling any punches back, they flat out are telling you the beginning of the next year, your currency will have value added to it.
Is that why they keep telling the citizens that after the 1st they will add value to their currency?
Yeah, I think January is going to be a very good month for us.
And what's new?
Look, I know these people say that every year. Every year it's the same thing. We're going to see a rate change happen. Every time a budget's passed, we're going to see a rate change happen. Every time any article that seems to be significant, you'll hear, oh, this is going to cause the exchange rate to change. And I say, man, you guys, it's not that easy. There's more to it than this. Don't get me wrong. They're going in the right direction. They're taking the right steps to strengthen their economy, to strengthen the Iraqi dinar. But if you're out there thinking this is going to happen overnight, you are sadly mistaken. Now, I did say that the Iraqi dinar, in my opinion, is going to go up in increments. And I still believe that you're going to see an increase in the first quarter of this year. That's my opinion. Kyle has a different opinion, so that's one area that we're not on the same page. But I think Kyle's more focusing on that big, dramatic 322 rate change that everybody's talking about. That's not going to happen, you guys. And I know you don't like to hear it, but it's the truth. But there are some things I'm going to go over in this video that you guys will love here in just a moment. But let's continue just a little bit more with Kyle.
I'm right, they're wrong. Now, if you actually care to learn about investing, here are 3 currency lessons you can take from this. Now, had you known any of these things, you would have known the gurus were dead wrong about their prediction. Lesson 1, magnitude matters. Directionally, the logic makes sense here. Supply and demand are what drive currencies. And all else equal, this should create more demand for the dinar and less for the dollar. However, they are not actually going to fully stop using the dollar. In fact, their dollar usage is barely going to change at all. They're going to restrict its use within Iraq for things like restaurants and hotels, but almost their entire GDP is driven by selling oil, and that will still be in dollars.
Woo, man, I've said this a zillion times. If Iraq really wanted to have a major impact on their currency's exchange rate, stop using the dollar for sales of oil. Use your own currency. That would help out the Iraqi dinar big time.
This is like the equivalent of saying, I'm going to stop going to other restaurants and I'm only going to eat at McDonald's for lunch every day. Now, will that massively drive their stock price up? Well, they do make money by selling burgers. So all else equal, it's a positive. But given how small of an impact that would be to their overall burger sales, it's probably not going to impact their stock price. It's the same for Iraq banning the dollar within Iraq for most things. It will have a very limited impact on the Iraqi dinar. Magnitude matters. Lesson 2, international trade requires reserves, and reserves require reliable currencies. You would have known they couldn't come close to fully banning the dollar if you'd known that no one would realistically accept the dinar for their exports to Iraq. Why not? Because when a country sells a product to another country, let's say it's wheat from Ukraine or electronics from Japan, it doesn't matter. They ideally want to sell it in their own currency. Or if not, they want to sell it in a currency that's easily convertible into their own currency or one that they can use for other purchases. So sometimes countries that trade with each other a lot can do some of that trade in each other's currencies, but only if they would feel comfortable holding that currency in reserves until they need to make another purchase. Otherwise, they'll want to use a more stable, freely convertible, widely usable currency like the US dollar. Hence why the dollar is the global reserve currency. So Iraq might be able to sell some oil to China for yuan because they need yuan for stuff they're going to purchase from China. However, China wouldn't want to sell anything to Iraq for dinars because they wouldn't want to hold the dinar in their reserves. It can't be used for anything outside of Iraq, and I doubt they trust the Iraqi government to keep it stable. Iraq can use fewer dollars and more of other stable currencies like the euro, the yuan, the yen, etc., but that would not increase the demand for the dinar.
We just saw currency swaps take place with China, UAE, Turkey, just to name a couple places. So they're doing currency swaps for the purpose of trade. Now, as far as central banks holding Iraqi dinars in the reserves, I know the U.S. Federal Reserve holds Iraqi dinars, and I know the Bank of England holds Iraqi dinars, but those are the only two that I'm aware of. And that's just because of the position that our U.S. federal bank is in, as well as the Bank of England. I'm not aware of any other central banks holding on to Iraqi dinars at this moment, but they have done currency swaps. And we did see an article in which they said when Iraq wants to sell their goods, they want to sell them in Iraqi dinars. And whenever UAE wants to sell their goods, they want to sell it in their local currency. So little by little, Iraq is starting to do currency swaps with other countries. But I get what you're saying. The Iraqi dinar is not a stable currency, and people probably don't trust it, nor do they trust the Iraqi government. But I do think they're taking pretty good steps to do something about that, in my opinion.
Third lesson is that the real reason they're banning the dollar in Iraq is because there's a dollar shortage. Well, that and the fact that they're trying to crack down on the black market for dollars, which finances a bunch of corruption and other illegal activity that they're trying to combat. But our lesson here is on the dollar shortage, because that is fairly common with emerging market currencies, particularly when the US is raising interest rates, aka it gets more expensive to get dollars. Like I've explained many times in other videos, currencies are driven by supply and demand. When there's a black market rate, like there is in Iraq right now, where the currency is at a lower valuation than the official rate, it means there's a high demand for the dollar. People are willing to pay more than the official rate to get dollars. That's usually a sign that the country is having trouble maintaining confidence in the local currency, and it often leads the currency to weaken a few years down the road.
Well, I don't know so much that it's the lack of confidence in the currency. I think it's more to the fact that there are countries under sanctions and they're having a hard time getting US dollars, and those people are the ones that are driving the black market more than anything else. But anyways, so I just want to respond to this video because, you know, look, people get pissy at Kyle, people get pissy at me because we try to bring the truth to you. Now, again, Kyle is a lot more savvier in this area. I love listening to what he has to say, but it's not like we're on total opposite pages. We agree on most everything, and that's why I look forward to having him on the show, or me going in his show, because I do got questions I would love to pick at his brain at, and hopefully that happens real soon. But you guys are killing the messengers. I keep telling you, stop listening to those guys blow smoke up your butt all day long. They do that on purpose. They've been doing it for decades, man. I like that little montage that he had of all those gurus. That was pretty funny. Anyways, let's get into what's going on real quick. Good job, Kyle. Oh, wait, I wanted to come back to this because I remember this thing that's been driving me crazy. So I've been trying to do research on this again. Try to just, make sure they got all the information correct on this 12-to-1 exchange. Come to find out, I was wrong. Yeah, you guys, I was wrong. You'll see why here in just a moment. Now, what I was saying was, look, this exchange rule, 12-to-1, man, that's 12 dinars for every $1 US. I said, for that exchange rate, that wouldn't be too bad. I don't think anybody would pass up a chance to swap their Iraqi dinars for this exchange rate. So when I started digging into this a little bit more, I vaguely remember why they had this policy, but here's where I was wrong. The 12-to-1 exchange policy was implemented in 2003. The policy was designed to stabilize the Iraqi economy, which had been severely weakened by years of sanctions, war, economic mismanagement. The new policy aimed to simplify the exchange rate mechanism, making it easier for Iraqi and foreign investors to conduct transactions. Now here's where I was wrong. Under the 12-to-1 exchange policy, 1 Iraqi dinar is officially exchanged for 12 US dollars. I had that backwards. Now, I'm sure a lot of you out there would jump up and down for joy if you got that kind of exchange rate. However, this rate is not always observed in practice, as the parallel market exchange rate often varies from the official rate. Now, here's what I remember when I first was doing my videos. I remember they were keeping track of multiple exchange rates. They had one that was called the official rate, one that was a parallel rate, and they had another one that kept labeling a dual exchange rate. And it was driving me crazy because I was like, what the hell is a dual exchange rate? And this is what they were talking about. So they had this going on. At the same time, they had an official exchange rate going on. And then you had the black market or the parallel market exchange rate going on. Now, what I'm trying to figure out is I remember they tried to get away from this 12-1 exchange policy because it was causing too much problems within Iraq. Or what I'm trying to find the answer to is if there's a 12-1 exchange policy out there and it's 12 US dollars for every 1 dinar, where is this being used at and why isn't this the official exchange rate for Iraq? Now, I've read all kinds of things about it, but it doesn't make sense why they need to have 3 different rates that they monitor. So again, right here it says, under the 12-1 exchange policy, 1 Iraqi dinar is officially exchanged for 12 US dollars. However, the rate is not always observed in practice, as the parallel market exchange rate often varies from the official rate. The parallel market rate is determined by supply and demand and can be influenced by factors such as political stability, economic conditions, and the perception of the Iraqi government's ability to manage the economy. So even before 2003, the exchange rate wasn't this high. And I get what they're saying in here. They did this to help stabilize the economy and simplify the exchange rate mechanism to make things easier. So it goes on to explain how this policy, this 12-1 exchange rate policy, was both positive and negative effects on the Iraqi economy. On the positive side, the policy helped stabilize the Iraqi currency, allowing businesses and individuals to plan their transactions with more certainty. This has contributed to increased investment in the country, both from domestic and foreign sources. Additionally, the policy has helped to reduce inflation, as the fixed exchange rate has provided an anchor for monetary policy. On the negative side, the 12-1 exchange policy has led to significant devaluation of the Iraqi dinar, making it more expensive for Iraqis to purchase goods and services in foreign countries. This has resulted in higher import prices, which can lead to inflation and a decline in the standard of living for ordinary Iraqis. Furthermore, the fixed exchange rate has limited the Central Bank of Iraq's ability to respond to economic shocks, such as fluctuations in the global oil prices, which are a key source of revenue for the country. So there were articles in The Economist speaking about the 12-1 exchange rate, and there was one with The Guardian, and I found part of them with The Guardian, but it was blocked for some stupid reason, and I couldn't find it anywhere else. And I know The Economist has an article about the 12-1 exchange rate and the pros and cons it was causing over there in Iraq. But if you go down here, you can see it says the 12-1 exchange policy implemented in 2003 was a conventional economic measure that involved the replacement of the Iraqi dinar with the new currency. The Iraqi dinar redenominated by a factor of 1,000. That's when they added the 3 zeros. The policy aimed to stabilize Iraq's economy and reduce inflation. However, it led to widespread public dissatisfaction and protests due to the sudden loss of wealth for many Iraqis. They're talking about when they switched over and added the 3 zeros. Iraq's economy has faced numerous challenges since the implementation of the 12-1 exchange policy, including low oil prices, political instability, and ongoing conflicts. While the Iraqi government has made efforts to diversify its economy and reduce its dependence on oil, the country's economic growth remains modest. Inflation and unemployment rates remain high, and the country has been subject to fluctuations in value. The 12-1 exchange rate policy has undergone several modifications since its inception in 2000. In 2006, the CBI allowed the IQD to float against the US dollar, but it continued to intervene in the foreign exchange market to maintain stable exchange rate. In 2016, the CBI devalued the IQD by 30% against the US dollar, citing the need to address the economic challenges faced by the country. As of now, the CBI has not announced any formal changes to the 12-1 exchange rate policy. However, it has been allowing the IQD to float against the US dollar within a narrow band, which indicates a shift towards a more market-based exchange rate system. That's why this article is so puzzling. The federal government budget issued under Law Number 13 of 2013, the tripartite budget, that was enacted for 3 years, and therefore the entry of the new fiscal year 2024 has been made from today automatically. He explained that this is with the adoption of the federal budget for the year 2024, and the exchange rule 12-1 does not currently exist under the Financial Management Law Number 6 of 2019, as amended until the beginning of 2016. Even though currently it does not exist under the financial management law, but the part that gets me says as amended until 2016 if the financial situation required at the time to apply it. I'm racking my brains out trying to figure out why they have 3 different exchange rates technically, because although it says that this does not currently exist under the current financial law, but the fact that they were still using it up until 2019 and are talking about doing it again in 2026. What does that mean for the actual exchange rate? Why do they need to keep 3 different exchange rates? Maybe Kyle can address that, man. They're telling you that they kept a 12-1 exchange rate policy to simplify things, but I've never seen the official exchange rate be 12-1. So I guess my question to Kyle, I'll reach out to him, is what is the purpose of having a 12-1 exchange rate policy if that's not the official exchange rate? How does that affect what's going on in Iraq? That's going to be my questions, because I've been racking my brains reading as much about this as possible. All I know is it was implemented, why it was implemented, why it was used, how it affect Iraq, and that it appears that they stopped using it since 2019 and plan on using it again possibly in 2026. Anyways, that's it for now. You guys let me know what you think. I look forward to hearing from you. I'm out.